thought I'd do a quick introduction to how I do some of the plastic welding. It's just how I do it. I mean, it may not be right, I don't know. But I've got this bit of the Alpha. If you have an Alfasud, you'll recognise this, amongst other crap bits of plastic that they put in these cars. You know, it's just awful. It's like it came out of a Christmas cracker. It's terrible. So as you can probably see here, look, somebody's already had a go at trying to fit a radio in here, and they've completely mullered the whole thing. It's just terrible. So I've made up a little aluminium piece like this, just a bit of flat stuff bent up to the right kind of shape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fit that in up here, so it'll actually just cover up all of the horrible mess, because there's no chance of finding another one of these anywhere. Anyone who's got one of these that isn't broken is probably hiding it. So that's what I'm going to do, and then I'm going to fit this, see if that stays there, I'm going to fit this cheap Chinese shitty radio that I bought for about £12 or something on eBay. It does a few basic things, and it'll work as a radio. I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time listening to music and stuff when I'm driving, so it'll be absolutely fine. It'll do the job, and if it doesn't do the job, well, for a tenner, who cares? So that's what's going to go in the car. So I've done all the wiring and readied everything in there to go. So we just need to sort out a few little problems here. So I've cleaned this up with this this stuff. I use this stuff for cleaning up the plastics and vinyls and rubbers and stuff, and it's really good. So it makes everything just a little bit nicer and a little bit shinier. It really does work a treat. It's like putting on boot polish almost. So it looks pretty good. But so let's take a look. For example, I don't know if you can see this terribly well, but there's a break here. So I'm going to have to fix that. You know, clearly somebody did up the screws too tight. You've really got to watch doing up screws too tight when you've got shitty plastics. So I'm gonna weld that up with my trusty soldering iron, which I've got here. Just been left that on for a little while to cook. It's just an ordinary soldering iron with an ordinary tip on it, and that's all I'm going to use to do this job. So I'll show you how that goes in a second. And then of course I've got my cup of tea, because really you can't do anything without a cup of tea. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to weld up this bit first of all, and you'll be able to see how that works. There's a few other little breaks in here and around here which I need to sort out, but hopefully that won't take too long, and I might you know, even clean up some of these little fun fuzzy edges that it seems to have acquired. So let's just do this. So let me try and move this a little bit closer so you've got a better view of what's going on. So basically all I do with this is to look at where the cracks are in the plastic, and then I'm just going to touch this plastic, and you see that it starts to melt quite quickly, and I don't want to go all the way through it clearly, but I want to get into it a bit and just move it around. There you go. So that's it. That's pretty much all I'm doing. So I'm going to do that with this crack as well. I need to you've got to close it up, make sure it's where it should be. There we go. And then I can start welding. I'm doing this on the back, obviously, so that you don't see at the front. Usually when you get these things right, there's nothing to see on the front. I'm just going across it, a little bit like you'd be doing if you're welding metal. Just hold it in place while it cools off. I used to glue all of this stuff with super glue and stuff like that, but it always breaks. You do it this way, it doesn't break, because you're just using the material itself to just bond it all back together. So there we go. That's done. So, is it? No, it's not. There's a little bit on the corner. Let's just get into that. There we go. Try not to get too close to the edge, because you lose the straight side. do that. You'll notice I'm doing this in the kitchen because the wife's out. It does stink a bit, so I don't recommend you do it in the house. Okay. So look on the other side of that. That's actually pretty good. See, I've managed to let a hole in there to try to get to the edge of it, so I'm going to have to try and fill that a little. Just try and move some of the material across to the edge. There you go. Not perfect. It's never going to be perfect because this thing was never perfect when it was made. Because it's a shitty piece of plastic. God knows who made it. So that's that part done. I'm just going to check and see if we've got any more cracks, and then I'll finish it off, and then I can start getting on with putting the radio in. That'll be it. I'll show you what it's like when it's done. Bye for now.